GLP-1 medications are transforming weight loss, but what's really happening behind the scenes? Eli Lilly and Novo Nordisk just released their latest earnings reports, revealing key insights about their blockbuster drugs. And with a Super Bowl ad shaking up the industry and new GLP-1 treatments emerging, there's a lot to cover, so please stick around.
Welcome to the Downsized News. It's Monday, February 10th, and we're excited to share the latest on GLP-1 medications. I'm Laraine Durham, and I've lost over 50 pounds using compounded tirzepatide. That's the medicine that's in Zepbound and Mounjaro.
And I'm Christopher Durham, and I've lost 94 pounds with the help of these medications. Today, we're here to chat about everything you need to know about GLP-1s, Mounjaro, Zepbound, Wegovy, Ozempic, tirzepatide, and semaglutide. And in today's news, there's another one, actually.
Ooh, so many things coming. Before we start, just a quick reminder, we're not doctors. While we're passionate about GLP-1s and weight loss, we would encourage you to talk to a healthcare professional before starting any medication or treatment.
And please join us each Wednesday for the Downsized Live at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We'll be sharing your questions, trying to answer them if we can, updates, connecting with you, our incredible community. It's always a great time, and we'd love to see you there.
We sure would. And while you're here, don't forget to tap that like button, hit subscribe, and ring the notification bell so you never miss an update. Your support helps keep us bringing you the latest on GLP-1s and our adventure. Now let's get into today's news and explore what's happening in the world of GLP-1s.
First story up, Eli Lilly and Novo Nordisk, of course. What did they say in their earnings call? Well, last week we highlighted the financial success of Eli Lilly and Novo Nordisk, driven by GLP-1 medications like Zepbound, Mounjaro, Wegovy, Ozempic. Now that their latest quarterly reports are out, the picture is clear. Both companies are growing fast, but there are challenges ahead, and GLP-1 users might feel the impact. Eli Lilly reported a 45% revenue jump for the fourth quarter of 2024, reaching $13.5 billion. Sales of Mounjaro increased 60%, and Zepbound added nearly $1.9 billion in U.S. revenue alone. Despite these impressive numbers, analysts were underwhelmed. Lilly's results, particularly its U.S. revenue of $9 billion, fell short of high market expectations. It's kind of crazy when the $9 billion fell short.
$9 billion fell short.
For GLP-1 users, this is concerning because slower than expected financial performance could pressure the company to maintain or even increase prices to protect its margins. Novo Nordisk, on the other hand, delivered growth more in line with Wall Street's expectations. The company reported a 25% annual sales increase, with obesity care products like Wegovy and Ozempic seeing a massive 57% revenue boost. Sales of Wegovy alone soared by 86%, reflecting its growing global footprint and stronger market penetration. Unlike Lilly, Novo Nordisk's success has been attributed to broader insurance coverage for Wegovy and steady international expansion. This contrast suggests Novo is doing a better job balancing accessibility and profitability, a key issue for GLP-1 users. Both companies, however, have admitted to supply chain struggles. Lilly pointed to increasing production capacity for GLP-1s, while Novo Nordisk acknowledged ongoing drug shortages due to skyrocketing demand. Patients using these drugs to treat obesity may continue to face disruptions, even as both manufacturers promise improvements, and we all know that. Clinical trial data from both companies adds another layer to the story. Lilly's Zepbound demonstrated a 47% greater weight loss compared to Novo Nordisk's Wegovy in a head-to-head study. At the same time, Novo Nordisk unveiled promising results for its next-generation obesity drug, CagriSema, which showed an average weight loss of 22.7% in trials. For patients, these developments signal that competition is driving innovation, but it also means staying on top of new treatment options as they hit the market. For those of us using GLP-1s to treat obesity, it's clear that the competition between these two companies will shape our options and experiences in 2025. We'll continue to watch their financial results translate into real-world access, affordability, and innovation. If you'd like to see more on what happened in their analyst calls, go back and watch this past week's video because I go into detail on that.
In our next story, Hims & Hers made a bold move with their first Super Bowl commercial. The telehealth company wants to sell weight loss medications that are affordable, doctor trusted, and formulated in the USA, and they took direct aim at the U.S. healthcare system to do it. Christopher and I reviewed this ad in our Saturday video, sharing our thoughts on its message. If you missed it, you can watch the ad in that video. I'll leave a link in the description. Despite calls for it to be pulled, the commercial aired as planned. Fox aired the ad anyway, without changes, on Sunday. It played right after the Eagles forced a turnover in the third quarter. Can you be more specific? There were several turnovers.
It wasn't pretty for the Chiefs.
Poor old Patrick Mahomes, man. Then the company blasted the ad all over social media. The ad called Sick of the System. Childish Gambino's song, This Is America, plays, while the narrator calls obesity the country's deadliest epidemic. Shocking stats flash across the screen. Images of cereal, pie, and fast food appear in the ad. Something's broken, the narrator says. It's not our bodies, it's the system. The ad calls out the $160 billion industry that feeds on our failure. While these medications are commonly known as weight loss medications, we all know that they are actually medical treatments for the disease of obesity. It's a heavy message, and it hit hard. People had strong reactions. Some on social media called the company hypocritical. Others felt personally attacked for their weight. Some even called the ad woke. Then lawmakers got involved. On Thursday, the Partnership for Safe Medicines sent a letter to the FDA demanding the ad be pulled. On Friday, 2 U.S. senators, Democrat Dick Durbin and Republican Roger Marshall, also wrote to the FDA. They warned that the ad could mislead patients by leaving out safety and side effects details. They didn't name Hims and Hers directly, but they called out its key message. They pointed to the ad's quick flash of injection pens and its claim that the weight loss industry is worth $160 billion. They also criticized a tiny text that noted that products are not FDA approved, which only appeared for 3 seconds. I didn't notice that, did you?
Well, out of 60 seconds, that's not bad.
Hims and Hers responded saying they followed the law and are happy to work with Congress on fixing the healthcare system. Excellent. Big brands love Super Bowl ads because people actually pay attention to commercials. For Hims and Hers, this was the perfect time to push a serious message, and they did. The ad called out the system. Now the system is pushing back. 2 senators and a trade group want the FDA to take action. They claim the ad leaves out important safety warnings. Hims and Hers says the criticism proves their point. It's clear the ad struck a chord, a Hims and Hers spokesperson told Adweek. We've called out the system, and now the system is asking that our ad get taken down. But here's the big question for us. How will this impact GLP-1 users?
Well, so will it?
I think it's just shining a light on this whole area of GLP-1s. Most people in America, I don't think have even heard of GLP-1s.
Yeah.
And if 74% of Americans have overweight or obesity, then they need to get this message out. We need to be talking about this. And yes, we need more than just a short commercial to really know about all the facts and all the things that GLP-1s can do.
So we did, obviously, the video on Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
I think there might be more than 100 comments on that video. I mean, there's a lot of you that had a lot of opinions on them. The reality of this is it's controversial, it's interesting, it's intriguing, it's exciting, it's all these things.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to watch the ad, you can go take a look at the video we published on Saturday. Make sure you do leave your comment here. Was it perfect? No, not by any means, but I applaud them for taking the step.
Right. There's just so much to unpack about GLP-1 medications that, you know, a short Super Bowl ad just, of course, can't get into all the things, but it got people talking about it, and I think that was the goal.
And I think what it says to me more than anything else is if you're willing to spend $8 million on a TV commercial, you must believe your business is going to continue to exist.
Right. They sell compounded medication.
Just semaglutide, too.
They sell compounded semaglutide. So obviously they're not worried that that's going away.
Obviously. So let's hope they are correct. Next story up, story number 3, GLP-1 users are making big changes in their life. A new report from Civic Science shows just how much. The research firm tracks over 170,000 people using GLP-1s. They study how these medications affect shopping, eating, and daily habits. The latest data is eye-opening. Half of all GLP-1 users say they plan to stay on the medication long-term or even forever. That means these meds aren't just a quick fix. They are part of a bigger lifestyle change. The study also found people on GLP-1s are spending differently. Many report buying more groceries and clothing, which makes sense. Losing weight often means needing new clothes. Civic Science says GLP-1 users are more likely to buy dress shirts, sweaters, and shorts compared to those not on the medication. It's amazing how much stuff is tracked out there. Food habits are shifting too. Many users are drinking less alcohol and eating out less, but they're also exercising more, sleeping longer, and staying on top of medical appointments. All of which good things. The impact of GLP-1s isn't just personal, it's shaping the economy. Retailers, restaurants, and healthcare companies are paying close attention. More spending on healthy food, fitness, and fashion could change how businesses operate. These trends show one thing for sure. GLP-1s aren't just about weight loss. They're about long-term change. And for many, that change is just beginning. So lots of good data. I mean, it's I don't think the data says anything we didn't know or couldn't guess, but
I mean, how do they know how I'm shopping and what I'm buying?
they have access to a lot of sales data.
How do they know I'm on a GLP-1?
Also access to a lot of
Isn't
sales
that
data.
my personal private healthcare?
Well, what
data?
happens is the data is all tagged. So if you're using a credit card or a loyalty card out there, that data has a number on it somewhere, and it may not know you specifically. So it may not know Laraine, but it knows a person, probably who is a woman who lives in the suburbs, who shops at this Food Lion, who goes to this Macy's, who shops on Amazon, and they can build a profile from you.
But how do they know I'm on a GLP-1?
Because they also know you're buying the GLP-1.
How do they know?
You're using a credit card. All the data is out there. And as long as it's not attached to personal information, it can be aggregated and they can pull trends from it.
Sounds kind of personal to me. I don't know.
Your name's not on it, social security number's not on it, your driver's license
Right.
none of that stuff.
I mean, I guess you know more than most because you used to work for a large grocery chain.
Correct.
So you know how the data collection works.
And we could always get to the data.
Scary.
It is.
In story number 4, a new study shows that an older GLP-1 drug, Exenatide, does not help people with Parkinson's disease. Researchers at University College London, or UCL, led the study. It was the largest and longest trial of Exenatide for Parkinson's. The trial was funded by the National Institute for Health and Care Research, or NIHR. For 96 weeks, 194 people with Parkinson's took either Exenatide or a placebo. Neither the participants nor the researchers knew who was getting the real drug. Scientists hoped the drug would slow the disease, but it didn't. At the end of the study, there was no difference between the groups. Exenatide did not improve movement, symptoms, or brain scans. Professor Thomas Fultney, the lead researcher, said the results were disappointing. He said people with Parkinson's and researchers were hoping for a different outcome. But this study found no benefit. Fultney said more research is needed. He said it's possible that some people with Parkinson's might respond differently. Scientists will keep looking at the data to find out. The study had strong participation. Almost everyone finished the trial, and blood tests confirmed that the people took their medication. That means the results are reliable. For now, it seems Exenatide is not a solution for Parkinson's, but GLP-1s are still proving to be life-changing for many who are using them to treat the disease of obesity. Well, that's too bad. I mean, it would have been great if it would have worked for Parkinson's, but it doesn't seem to.
So I included it in because you don't hear much about Exenatide, first of all.
I don't know that I've ever heard of Exenatide.
It's a very early version. And I think we do so many stories where it works for everything.
GLP-1s work for everything.
They're like, oh yeah, it works for
Sleep
everything.
apnea. Yeah.
So to see there's research out there being done and they come back and tell you the truth.
And tell you it doesn't work for something.
It didn't work for something. And I mean, Parkinson's is such a brutal disease.
Brutal. Yeah. I don't think there's anything. Are there treatments for it at this point?
My Parkinson's knowledge is.
Yeah. It would have been great if it would have shown some promise. But we still keep developing things.
And I read some of the footnotes on this, and they're going to try some of the other medications as well. So the semaglutides and tirzepatides, and see if maybe that does something. But I don't know. I mean, this was a really interesting look into the research because they gave you a lot on what was
Well,
happening.
it was interesting that all the participants finished the trial. They did blood work to confirm people took their medicine. Like, people really they really wanted this to work. Like, you could tell the participants were, hoping that it did work.
Story number 5, Palatin just finished a big study on obesity. They tested a combination of 2 drugs, bremelanotide and tirzepatide, to see if they worked better together for weight loss. The phase 2 study is now complete. The last patient has finished their final visit. Now researchers are collecting and checking all the data. We should see the results later this quarter. The study started with a goal of enrolling 60 patients, but interest was so strong they ended up with nearly twice that, so 113 people joined. Of those, 96 were part of the randomized trial. Palatin CEO Dr. Carl Spana says he hopes the results will show that using bremelanotide and tirzepatide could lead to even better weight loss. The company believes the approach could not just be with general obesity, but also with other conditions tied to weight gain, including rare genetic disorders. GLP-1s like Zepbound and Wegovy have already changed the game for people with obesity, as we all know, but Palatin thinks there's room for improvement. Dr. Spana says new approaches like targeting the MC4R pathway could lead to even better results. The MC4R pathway plays a key role in hunger and energy use. People with genetic issues in this pathway can experience extreme hunger and early obesity. Bremelanotide is an MC4R agonist, meaning it helps activate this system. Scientists believe combining it with GLP-1s could make weight loss even more effective. In the studies, patients started with tirzepatide alone for 4 weeks. Then they were randomly placed in one of 4 treatment groups, some adding bremelanotide. Researchers tracked their progress. Now we wait for the data. If the results look good, this could be an exciting new option for patients who need more than just GLP-1s to reach their goals. So more drugs, more science, all kinds of cool stuff.
In story number 6, bread sales are dropping, and Flowers Foods thinks GLP-1s might be part of the reason. Flowers Foods, the company behind Wonder Bread, Dave's Killer Bread, my favorite, and Nature's Own, just shared its latest financial report. Sales were lower than expected, and they're looking at why. Their CEO, Ryals McMillan, mentioned GLP-1 medications as a possible factor. He also pointed to an economic slowdown and more people choosing healthier foods. For months, Flowers has noticed that customers are skipping traditional white and wheat bread. Instead, they're buying more organic, keto, and gluten-free options. The company says it's suggesting investing more in those types of products. It makes sense. Many GLP-1 users say their cravings have changed. They don't want as many carbs, and they're eating less overall. That could be showing up in sales numbers. Flowers is also making moves to attract health-conscious shoppers. They just bought Simple Mills, a company known for better-for-you snacks. They bought this for $795 million. Their goal? To stay ahead of shifting trends and give customers what they want. Despite the drop in bread sales, Flowers' profits are up. They say they are focused on making the company stronger and growing in new ways. If you've noticed changes in what you're buying since starting a GLP-1, you're not alone. The food industry is paying attention too.
I mean, so I don't know that we buy any packaged bread like that except for the Dave's.
Yeah, I think they mentioned Wonder Bread. Remember Wonder Bread from the 70s?
Yeah.
Like, everybody, you took your sandwich at school. You took it, your mom made you Wonder Bread peanut butter and jelly.
Sure.
Except for my mom, who put my sandwich on brown bread because my parents were more health conscious, and then all the children made fun of me because I had brown bread instead of white bread.
Mean little children.
Add that to my list of childhood traumas.
Bread trauma.
But now I love Dave's Killer Bread. Like, we don't eat like plain white bread anymore. Like, I think people have really shifted. There's been so much emphasis on carbs that people have really shifted to organic and better whole grain bread.
I mean, we're buying an artisanal sourdough usually.
Yeah.
Yeah. Honestly, we don't eat that much of it
We
anymore.
don't eat that much of
anyway.
it anymore.
Although I do like grilled cheese every once in a
You
while.
do like your grilled cheese sandwich.
It's like comfort food. It is, and it's a finite amount of food, so it's all good. Story number 7: a new GLP-1 injection just hit the market in China. It's called an ultra-long-acting shot, and it was developed by a company called Inogen. Right now, it's approved for type 2 diabetes, but early clinical trials show it could be a powerful tool for weight loss too. No surprise. In a 4-week study, people without diabetes lost an average of 4 kilograms. That's nearly 9 pounds. Some lost even more. The weight loss rate was 6.2%, and 71% of participants lost at least 5% of their body weight. So that's only in 4 weeks.
In 4 weeks. That's pretty good.
That's impressive for a short time. This new drug only needs to be taken once a week, like Zepbound and Mounjaro, but what makes it different is how long it stays in the body. Now wait for this, as Barney from TV show would say, it has a half-life of 204 hours. So I had to do the math on that, which is 8.3 days on a half-life.
Then why are you taking it weekly?
Well, because then it never has to drop, right? So if you're taking semaglutide or tirzepatide right now, you've got a half-life of 5. So at 5, it has a drop, right? And then you lose efficacy a couple days, and then you take a shot again, and it goes back up. This would last a little bit longer, right?
But you're still taking the new drug once a week.
You are. Yeah.
You can take it like every 10 days, probably.
Theoretically, you could, or you can take a little bit smaller shot dose. That could mean smoother effects for more stable blood sugar control and possibly fewer side effects. So right now, this injection is only approved in China, but it could become a serious competitor to Zepbound, Mounjaro, and semaglutide. More competition is usually a good thing. So it's crazy. China has the largest number of diabetes patients in the world, with 148 million.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, is that just a function of they have the most people in the world, or
all of the above? I think. Yeah.
I didn't imagine China to have a weight problem like the U.S. has a weight problem.
Well, let's look at that. So more than 60% of them are overweight or obese,
compared to 74% of Americans.
Correct. So it's
interesting.
It's not quite as many.
It's creeping up there for sure.
I think they also have a higher poverty rate, and when poverty in China looks like farmers, so poverty doesn't look like it looks here.
Right.
By 2030, that number is expected to grow to 610 million, which means the demand for obesity treatments will only increase. Inogen is the first company in Asia and only the 3rd in the world to develop its own long-acting GLP-1 medication. Right now, Novo Nordisk and Eli Lilly dominate the market, but this new drug could change the landscape, especially if it eventually gets approved outside of China. The first prescription for this injection is expected to be given in Shanghai this week. We'll keep watching to see if this new GLP-1 makes its way to the U.S. More options could mean more opportunities for people fighting obesity, and that's always worth paying attention to. Well, that wraps up today's edition of the Downsized News. We hope you found the updates helpful and insightful as you navigate your own GLP-1 adventure.
And while you're here, don't forget to check out our Downsized store at thedownsized.org, where you'll find GLP-1 companion products and more to support your GLP-1 weight loss adventure.
And before we sign off, if you've enjoyed following the adventure Laraine and I are on and want to stay updated with real stories, insights, and tips about GLP-1 medications, please like this video and subscribe to our channel. Be sure to hit the notification bell so you never miss an update.
We'd like to give a special thank you to our Club Downsized members. Your support means the world to us and allows us to keep creating content that inspires and informs. We couldn't do this without you. Your support helps us grow and continue sharing valuable content for those of us navigating life with the disease of obesity. If you're interested in becoming a member of Club Downsized, you can click the join button below.
All right, that's us for this week. Thank you very much. I'm Christopher Durham.
I'm Laraine Durham.
And we are the Downsized. We'll see you next week.